Start with a big congratulations to Nafisa Collier, who became the second fastest to 3,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, 500 assists. She needed 2 today, and she got 6. Second fastest behind Maya. Maya did it in 163 games, and Fee did it in 170. And Fee said, that darn Maya. You know, she just... congrats to Fee. It's pretty incredible.
All right, so I've been told to start. So just starting off, if you could just speak a little bit about the first half and what allowed you all to just jump out to such a
The Seattle game.
Yeah. Okay.
The Seattle game. You know, they were, I could tell yesterday they were pretty committed to a bounce back. You know, we set the tone defensively, and we did it through the first half. We didn't get as much done in the second half, but obviously we set the tone, and you know, that allowed for us to you know, play free at the other end, and so I was pleased with what we did on that end of the floor.
Fia scored more points. She's probably had more rebounds, more assists, but I mean, in terms of an efficient game,
Yeah.
especially through the first half, I think she matched LA in points.
Yeah,
Is this-
26 career high, 26 in the first half.
Is that the best you've seen her play?
No, absolutely not. No. I think obviously she played well. I don't mean to say that she didn't, but I thought that our movement, our pick and roll reads, you know, that Courtney, you know, especially she just started the game the way we needed her to. So really want to shout out Court, and I've been on her really hard. It's what we needed from her. I know Way had a great conversation with her that she needed to really set the tone in the way that she managed the game, but then also how she defended. Yeah, I just thought that we were efficient, and when we moved, that's when Nafisa Collier's greatness comes out. And in the second half, when we're getting less movement, we're taking the ball to the net more, and they're loaded in the paint, then you saw, you know, something different for Fee. It wasn't as easy. Playing in movement is Fee's superpower. But yeah, no, she was great, but it was not the best I've seen.
Coach, one game after allowing 50 points in the paint, you know, both BC and Fee postgame like that can't happen. You know, absolutely not. You score 50 points in the paint today, limit them to 30. Was that, you know, just how much of that was highlighted sort of like yesterday in practice, and just how much of that was like part of the game plan for taking over today?
Well, I mean, when you're playing a team whose identity is to be in the paint, then that's what the focus is. And when you get it done the first time you play them here, which was Seattle, and then you go to Seattle and you don't get it done in the ways that we didn't get it done was probably more concerning. And then, you know, LA similarly, you know, likes to, they touch the paint the third most in the league. And we kept them from being able to do that. But we did foul, you know, a ridiculous amount of times. It was 11 in the first half, and then it just went crazy. And we weren't there protecting the paint. And so they were able to drive into our paint. And that only finished with 30, but, you know, they didn't get a whole lot of them in the first half. So second half was not our best, obviously. I don't subscribe to, well, you had a big lead, and so that's what's going to happen. I don't subscribe to that. I don't, and I think it's unacceptable. You know, and especially as we started to sub, you know, I'm on them, you know, like your playing time is dictated by your ability to defend. And if you're not getting the game plan done, it's hard to keep you out there. But I kept them out there. But that's why you saw the lead go where it went. That's why you saw the number of free throws where it was at. So I think, you know, the emphasis defensively in the first half was a direct result of what we didn't get done. Way's game plan, you know, that was her scout, and we were on it, and we gave them the key points of what we were trying to get done, and we executed that in the first half. The first group did a great job.
And in both games with the Sparks this season, limiting Plum to 5 makes and under 40% shooting in both games. She's had some monster games this season. Just how have you like sort of assessed the way you've attacked her on defense? Yeah,
I mean, we always say it's team defense on really good players like Plum, and you know, she got off a couple of her step back threes, which, you know, we talk about. We want to do better in that space, but I think you know, we were there to help. We talked about team defense, and so when you're trying to keep someone like Plum off the 3-point line and she goes off the bounce and she's so shifty and she puts her hip in you and holds you off, or, use her arm to hold you off, whatever it is to create an advantage. We needed to be there and help, and then we needed to be there in rotation because Plum is terrific at finding players on the backside. And I just thought, we defended all of that pretty well. When she did try to go to the rim, we were there. We had 10 block shots. That's pretty impressive.
And last one from me, but this most we've gotten to see Masha in a game since you signed her last week, and didn't miss until the waning seconds, and had 3 blocks. So what did you get out of her performance today?
Well, it's what we've been seeing at practice. Since the day she showed up. She's confident. She's really confident. She's really eager to do. I mean, she's been in the league before. She appreciates being here with this team. She's a great fit for us. Her first 3 days, she was on the floor each day. So on the third day, we looked at the rest of the players and said, she'd been here 3 days, and 3 days she dove on the floor for a loose ball. And one of them was not a practice day. It was our get better day. It matters to her, like she's a competitor. And so, like I said, she's been a good fit. I was, really pleased that she was able to be out there extended time and get a little more comfortable.
Ola got her first points today, too. Can you just reflect on how hard she's been working and what that moment is like for her?
Yeah, and I wish somebody know Russian because I need to know what she said after she scored that basket. I asked her if it was and one, and she's like, "No, I can't say, Coach." But I really want to know what she said, but she was too embarrassed to share. She was excited. Ola is obviously a young player, just turned 20, and she has been so receptive and eager and confident and all those things, and just. She knows her number's not getting called for a while on the depth chart. She comes the same way every day and just works and embraces the get better days. And, she has a lot of work to do for sure. But her athleticism and her ability to get places is off the charts. And her compete is really high. And so, again, fun to get Ola a chance to be in there for a little bit and get her first WNBA points.
And T had another really good game off the bench, too. I know she was on the floor a lot in the second half when the defense was a little bit of a problem. But what did you feel? How did you feel about T's game so far?
Well, I thought it was, like you said, really solid. That responsibility that you have for the second group can be challenging. And so my expectations of her with that group is to make them better. And so we're really challenging her in that way, and she's got to figure out how to do that. And and there's some ups and downs with that, and there's, at times where she's frustrated with them, like, would you please do this right so Cheryl can get off me? But she, her explosions to the basket are just so impressive. And I thought her floor game was really good, finding people when they were open. The on time, on target. I thought she was really good in that space, and so I was really happy with T's game today.
Real quick, I know that Fee and Courtney work at the pick and roll so well, but it seems like Bridget has a real knack for getting Fee the ball in the right spot with her entry passes. There's a couple today where she basically passed Fee for a free layup.
Yeah.
I mean, can you just talk? Is that just having played so many years together?
Yeah, and I think it's instinctual. So you have two good basketball players in Fee and BC. When their movements, right, their basketball movements make sense, they find each other. And that's what I think you see with BC is she knows that Fee's going to be where she expected to make the play. And so that's what I see. I just see two really good basketball players.
Cheryl, a Simone question. They showed the video before the game, the LSU back to there, and then was that change of direction of hers in an area like this kind of novel for 25 years ago?
Yeah. Her ability, I always say, like, when you coach some players, you have to sort of coach all the way through to the shot, right? Simone, we only coached through to the touch. We knew, just get her the touch, and we didn't know what she was going to do. But we knew it was going to be prolific, and it was going to be punishing someone with her, her ball handling. We say we get the dreads popping when she gets to doing that and rocking you and pulling up. And it is... I think it's unmatched. I don't think we've seen it in the history of our league. She's the greatest one-on-one player in that space, the most difficult to guard. Sometimes as a coach you miss that. Hey, just get a touch and let them go. And by the way, was efficient. Shot damn near 50% with some really difficult shots. So I think there's no one before her. I know Cynthia Cooper was great, but it was different in terms of how they did it, and Simone's one-on-one abilities, unmatched. Yeah, who's this? Yeah. Well, let's use that word efficiency. Simone. That's my favorite part about it, is that I literally didn't care what kind of shot she would take, because I knew it was going to be efficient. 'Cause she wouldn't take it. Her floater. That's the other thing. The Moan floater. Just lethal. Again, I think the best guard that has done that in the history of our league, 28-year history.
Cheryl, I know that Kelsey, she went to the line 8 times, but you guys did a magnificent job defending her from 2. I think she was only 2-11 from 2. What were you doing to prevent her to kind of get going?
Well, we tried to be a little more aggressive at the point of contact, the point of attack for them. We tried to be physical with her, and our bigs needed to be up, and so we just tried to put her in difficult positions to make reads. Because again, she's really good, just like Courtney when she's got space, and I just thought that we were there and help when we needed to be. When she turned the corner, she found another body. There we were. What I found, right in front of us, and we were on defense in the first half there. Plum wasn't sure whether she was passing or shooting. So when you're taking shots where you thought maybe you were going to pass, those aren't your best shots. So I just thought we did a terrific job and kind of maybe keeping her guessing what exactly was open. Nothing was easy.
Sure, here too for you. Waylon had the first LA Scout and this LA Scout. I'm just curious, as an assistant, this is obviously her first time as assistant. Do you see assistants sort of grow as you see players, like when they play a team multiple times, like how they scout a team different times, and how did you see that in what Waylon did today?
Waylon is just the attention to detail and the passion and the competitive nature, right, that you saw as a player. It comes through in the scouts and even in her presentation of the scouts. And she already, so there's not a growing into it from an X and O standpoint. It's more of, and they're competitive too when you don't have all their play calls, and you just need one more play call, because you want to be able to tell them every possession what the team is running. Way is on that. So I think the second time you get a little more information, right, as you're preparing for that. But yeah, when you have to know things like, what's the rotation? Who's subbing in when this happens, when they're subbing, what's this play who are they going to run a play for? And Way, just on the bench being able to, share those things, and whether it's in a timeout or live play when the ball's coming up the floor, or she sees a sub, right? She sees Rakia Jackson coming back in there, right? And then she's able to say to them, hey, this is Rakia's play, it's coming. So it's a good question for Way. I think she's her starting place, is really high. So her floor is really high, as they say with a player, right? Her floor is really high. And, I love the competitive nature of just not wanting to get outworked. And she's terrific.
And then I also wanted to ask you, I know you were asked this morning about the shootings, obviously, and your reaction to it. And you said when you come off the floor, who knows what
How are we doing? How are we doing? Any news out there?
They've identified the shooter. They haven't caught him yet. But I wasn't sure if you had learned anything more and if there was anything further you wanted to add.
I haven't learned anything more. And I did share with our team. We talked about it post-game. They're in shock. They're in shock, and that, democracy is being threatened in the way that it is. So, it was tough news for them to hear, being so close to us. And I asked them to be careful, but to use their voices. Now's the time more than ever. This is not the time to be afraid. This is the time to stand in there if you believe in something. It takes courage to do that. And the cost that was paid by a lawmaker is unacceptable. And we're hurting for, every, politiciin. As we watched, the Democratic Center be brought to the ground and, out in L.A., they're fighting for us. These people are fighting for us. We're their constituents. They feel a responsibility to us as people, regardless of what party. Certainly don't condone this, if this was a Republican. This is unacceptable. And so I think, being mindful, how fortunate we are. We're professional basketball players, but we also are members of our community. And now is the time to use our voices.
Just a moment ago, you talked about efficiency. First quarter, 14 for 19. for 73.7%, and you just before that had almost gone to 80% in that first quarter. Can you just talk about that first quarter shot selection and efficiency?
Yeah, Courtney set the tone, making Courtney's shots like the pull-ups, the threes, so she got going with that. That efficiency really helped us. It opened up things for us because then they went to point of attack, bringing two to Courtney, and for our team, when you do that, the eyes light up. We're good cutters. We share the ball well, and we were in position to get some easy shots, and obviously making them was key. Felt bad for Mac, right? The open shots, but that's the life of a shooter. Just keep shooting them and then move on to the next game.